Good afternoon once again, all my comic collecting friends out there in YouTube land. This is Comic Hoarder, and I'm doing part 3 of my keys variants and such, and I want to explain. I said part 3 on the last installment, which was obviously part 2, because I filmed a video of my Batman books that didn't upload properly, so that's what the confusion was. And this is actually part 3. I'm going to finish off my Spider-Man books here. But before I get started, on my last video I showed my Amazing Spider-Man 129, and a good friend of all of ours, Hippies Collectibles, told me that Amazing 129 is one of the few books. I think he only needs 6 or 7 more issues to complete his run of Amazing Spider-Man, which is an amazing feat on its own, but he said Amazing Spider-Man 129 is one of those books that he needs, and he actually has a reprint. And I just want to say before I show this, my father raised me better than this. You know, when you have something that's just so beautiful and rare and valuable, you don't flaunt it in people's faces and show it off. You have some class because you don't want other people to feel bad about themselves. But I'm going to go ahead and show this, and Hippie, I will take serious cash offers on this item. Talk about a reprint. This is the Wizard Ace edition to Amazing Spider-Man 129. And who needs Gil Kane and Romita Sr. when you've got Humberto Ramos on the job? There you go. And yes, Punisher's feet are supposed to be twice as wide as his head. Didn't you know he got bit by a radioactive Budweiser Clydesdale? Of course you didn't. And he's got Spider-Man in his sights. Is he going to be able to kill Mr. Amazing Penis Fingers? Or is the mask a real clue that it's not Peter Parker and it's really Bill the Cat from Bloom County? Who knows? Only the great Humberto Ramos can pose these kinds of pulse-pounding questions on one cover. So that was for you, Hippie, and you can PM me with your serious cash offer on this beautiful item. Moving along, this is I've shown these before. These are my Spectacular Spider-Man magazines from 1968. They only did 2 issues, and this one has one small, well, I don't know if I'd say small, but has a defect there, a little chipping and a fold on the corner and 2 little chips there. So I'd give this maybe a 6, 5.5 or a 6. But this is just a legendary, beautiful painted cover by John Romita Sr. And this particular image has been reused many times, as well it should, because it's just awesome. And part 2 is just another legendary painted cover by Romita Sr. This is him at his best, in my opinion. This copy, again, probably about a 5.5 or a 6. It has this big fold on the top corner there. But other than that, it's not too bad. But this is just a gorgeous painted cover of Goblin fighting Spidey, and just, whew, man, he was great. Truly one of the masters of Amazing Spider-Man artwork was John Romita Sr. In my opinion, second only to Steve Ditko. And when you look at their body of work, he worked on the book a lot longer, so you could argue he's the more important of the two. But as far as my personal favorite, he's slightly behind Ditko, which is no slap to the face of Romita Sr. There's not many people on Ditko's level in my book from that, especially from that era. But moving along, I've shown this recently too. This is my Amazing 361 first appearance of Carnage that I got signed by Mark Bagley this year. And again, this has some spine rolling, so I'd give this copy maybe about an 8, 7.58. This is an unread, high-grade copy of Amazing Spider-Man 400, The Death of Aunt May, but as with many characters, she didn't stay dead. And with variants, my variants are usually high-grade and unread. I usually just read the regular issue and don't even open the variants, but I got this. This is part 12 of 12 of the other Amazing Spider-Man 528, and this was a horrible storyline by J. Michael Straczynski, just a steaming pile of crap. It was so bad, and fan reaction was so bad that they had to immediately craft 2 more storylines to nullify what happened in this, to totally erase it from Spider-Man history and continuity. So it was pretty awful. But I bought this because it's the Amazing Spider-Ham variant done by the late, great Mike Wieringo. So that's why I got that. And Brand New Day wasn't that great, but it was one of the storylines they did to nullify the effects of the other. And this is the 1 in 25 variant to Part 1, Amazing Spider-Man 546. And I love this cover by Brian Hitch. Just gorgeous. And he gets in a lot of trouble because he's like obsessive and a perfectionist about his art. And he takes, quote-unquote, too long. But look what he turns out, man. Not only look at Spidey, look at that detail in the background. I mean, my God. What a freaking cover. Brian Hitch is the man. That's a gorgeous, gorgeous Spider-Man cover. And another one of my favorite variants from this Brand New Day arc. This is Amazing Spider-Man 555 variant by Simone Bianchi. Just a gorgeous shot of Spider-Man and Wolvie charging down through the snow-filled city. Beautiful stuff. This is the sketch variant to Part 1 of the Anti-Venom storyline New Ways to Die. And it's the convention sketch variant to Amazing Spider-Man 568. I think I got this at either Baltimore or Philly. This is the 1 in 25 store variant to Amazing Spider-Man 568, and got this because, of course, it's by John Romita Sr., and you don't see him doing many covers anymore, especially on his own. And this is almost a throwback to that Amazing Spider-Man number 70 cover I showed with Spider-Man Wanted, and it's Romita's rendering a Spidey on the wall with the spotlight around him and the cops at his feet, and this is very much a homage to that by him. This is the zombie variant to Amazing Spider-Man 573 by Marko Djurdjevic, however you pronounce his name. It's very hard to pronounce in my defense. But Zombie Spidey and Zombie Green Goblin. Cool stuff. And they did a bunch of these zombie variants that month. And I got a lot of them. I know I have the Ultimate Spider-Man when I couldn't find it. And I believe it might be like by Kerry Andrews or David Aja. But I have an Iron Fist one. But the one that sticks out in my mind is the Cable zombie variant. Because Richard Corbin did that. So I know I bought that one. Cool for Halloween. But moving along. This is one of the 2 regular covers for Amazing 600. Sorry about the glare. And this is an Alex Ross cover of Spidey all tangled up in Doc Ock's tentacles. And I like this. It's on the red coloring almost gives it the effect of like they're fighting in a photo development darkroom. So, cool cover. This is the variant to Amazing 600 by Marvel Editor-in-Chief Joe Quesada, and it's a wraparound cover. I really wanted... There's a 1 in 200 variant to Amazing 700 that I couldn't afford. It was by Steve Ditko, and they were going for $200 to $400 right off the get-go. I've seen them go even over $500 at the time, so... they've died down a little bit, but not enough to where I can get one yet. But if you want to do yourself a favor, if you haven't seen it, Google the Steve Ditko Amazing Spider-Man 700 variant. Cool stuff from a master who you don't see. When's the last time he drew Spider-Man? So, this is the Amazing Spider-Man 700 variant by Marcos Martin. New Year's cover, 50 Years of Spider-Man. This is the Amazing Spider-Man 700 Oliver Coipel variant, and I really, really like this cover of Spidey web swinging through the city. Beautiful stuff. This is, and again, all these variants are probably high grade, because I didn't read any of these, and this is the variant to Amazing 577 by Sal Buscema, and I got this again because you don't see him doing as many covers anymore. And it was an issue with the Punisher, who I'm also a fan of. So I grabbed that variant. This is my unread copy. Yes, I did buy 2 of this book, unfortunately. But this is my unread copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 1 when they went away from the original numbering, started it back at number 1 in 1999. And it's a John Byrne cover. And of course, when it got near Amazing Spider-Man 500, as we all know they went back to the original numbering anyway. Moving along, this is the wedding issue, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21, and just an epic, legendary cover of Spidey and MJ, the Spider-Man heart behind them, and the face-off between the heroes and the villains in the background. Legendary cover by John Romita Sr., and this is a gorgeous copy, except for one thing. If I can zoom. Got 2 little flecks of something on that white cover. And That's why white covers and black covers are harder to find in high grade, because flaws show up so clearly on them. Excuse me. And yeah, those two little flecks might not show up on another book, even a black cover. So, moving along, this is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends #1, and this is their adaptation of the first episode of the TV series, The Triumph of the Green Goblin. And I loved this TV series as a kid, as many of you know, and that's a John Romita Jr. cover. And Marvel was smart. When they got into animation, they started their own studios, Marvel Sunbow. And they were smart enough to realize that the Japanese animators were doing it better, and they went and got Japanese animators. And their stuff was so much better than the Filmation and Ruby Spears stuff as far as action and, you know, superhero cartoons was. They got the right personnel, and they also worked on other cartoons that the animation was better than, you know, ahead of the standard of the time, such as G.I. Joe, Transformers. Marvel Sunbow also worked on Visionaries, Dungeons and Dragons, Mask. So, yeah, they made some great stuff, including the other Incredible Hulk cartoon, which was great but short-lived. But moving on, these are some of the Ends of the Earth variants, and I just want to show these. These are by Gabriel Del Otto, painted covers, and just beautiful, if I can get them in focus. And that's Sandman versus Spider-Man. And pay attention to the numbering here. This is issue 684, part 3. Very next is issue 685, but it says part 5 instead of part 4. So I don't know if this is considered an error or misprint, if they recalled them, if they did a corrected version, if they're all like this, I do not know. So if anybody else has these or knows about this, please let me know and share your information with me. Very much appreciate it. But yeah, 684, which is part 3, 685, part 5, 686, part 5. So that's your mistake, is that one. But moving on, this is the variant to part 5, 686, with actually a cool-ass Mysterio cover, him beating down Spidey. Gabriel Del Otto is a good painter, because you don't see many cool Mysterio covers. This is the variant to 687, part 6, with Spidey fighting a rhino, and that's an awesome, awesome painted cover, in my opinion. Like that. Not sure who painted this cover. And this is the variant to Amazing Spider-Man 590. This came out the month before the Wolverine Origins movie came out, so they did all these variants on books that didn't even have Wolverine in them, that were Wolverine-based variants. And this has all the different incarnations of Wolverine playing poker, and it's a homage to the classic painting of the dogs playing poker. Pretty cool. This is the silver ink version of Spider-Man #1 by Todd McFarlane, and I do not have the polybag version, and I do not have the platinum or gold edition, whatever it is, but that's an unread near mint copy of that. And I've shown this recently too. This is my Spectacular Spider-Man #1, and it's a gorgeous bright yellow cover with blue and red, you know, all over it, just eye-popping cover, and I was lucky enough to get it signed by Sal Buscema this year. And I'm really glad about that, because he's only signing for about 2 hours on one of the days. If you didn't get to him, you didn't get to him. And this book is a pretty copy, but it does have some flaws on the spine here. If I can zoom in. Small ding there, another one there, and 3 more, well, 2 more and 1 insignificant one there. So this has some problems on the spine. I'd still give this maybe an 8, maybe a 7.5. I think it could be an 8 just because it's so sharp and bright everywhere else. Everything else is pretty solid, but nonetheless, happy to have that book in my collection. This is a near mint copy of Spectacular Spider-Man 64, and this is the first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. They were in Spectacular Spider-Man a lot in the 80s, and they sort of became reasonably hot for a bit, and they even got their own series, but those characters haven't been used much recently, Cloak and Dagger. I think they even tried to reinvent them not too long ago. But to finish off, this is my Web of Spider-Man #1. This is not a near mint copy. This is actually my copy I bought off the newsstands in 1984. I'd give this maybe about a 5. I need to upgrade this. This is heavily read or well-loved, as I like to say. I read this book probably 20 or 30 times as a kid. And this is my favorite cover of the black costume Spider-Man. Just an amazing painting by Charles Vess. He's one of my favorites. He did that Hobgoblin cover that I couldn't find in my other video. And he did this amazing Spider-Man hardcover graphic novel called Spirits of the Earth, where Spidey's in Scotland. And it is just beautifully illustrated. Charles Vess. I wonder what he's doing now. I haven't seen his work in a while, and I need to look up and see what he's doing, or if he's even doing well enough to still be working. But he is one hell of a painter. Love his work. And I showed the Amazing Spider-Man parts of the Kraven's Last Hunt, and I could only find one of the two Spectacular Spider-Man, so I didn't show the one I found. But I know I have the other one somewhere. But these are the two Web of Spider-Man Death of Kraven, Kraven's Last Hunt tie-ins. This is part 1, Web of Spider-Man 31. These gorgeous Mike Zeck covers. And this may be the most legendary Mike Zeck cover of this whole Spider-Man mini. These copies, I'd say, are probably near mint, too. Actually, tiny bit of spine rolling up here on this one. Tiny bit, but not too bad. But this one's probably near mint. And this is Web of Spider-Man 32, part 4. Of Kraven's Last Hunt, Resurrection, and that cover is powerful. This I wanted to show just because I think it's a must-read for any Spider-Man fan. This is Spider-Man Reign, Part 1 of 4 by Kerry Andrews. He wrote it and did the art. It was on under the Marvel Knights imprint, but it's more like a what-if or kind of like a Elseworld stories. I would compare this to like being the Spider-Man version of The Dark Knight Returns with kind of like an old man Spidey in the future. Great read. I highly recommend picking that up. This is my variant to Scarlet Spider #1. And real quick, I'll tell you, it's funny. I was having a conversation with Tom Brevoort. I actually met Tom Brevoort right before this book was coming out. And I was like, not to be rude, but what are you guys doing giving like Scarlet Spider and Rocket Raccoon their own series when, there's characters like, Punisher's book is getting canceled. Blade, when's the last time you've done a good Blade comic or a Man-Thing comic? And he was like, give it a chance. It's not going to be Ben Reilly. He's like, it's a different take. Give it a chance. He's like, tell you what, I'll give you my email. You email me, tell me you were the guy I said I'd send a copy of Scarlet Spider #1 to. He's like, and after it hits the printing press, I'll send you #1. He's like, if you read it, and you like it, cool, maybe you'll buy the rest. He's like, if you read it and you don't like it, you didn't pay for it. I gave it to you, so how can you lose? And to his credit, Tom Brevoort is not only a man of his word. I emailed him. When it came off the presses, he sent me a copy. He sent me the 1 in 50 variant by Mike Perkins. I was like, wow, well, now I have to go out and buy #1 anyway because I'm not going to read this. But I emailed him and thanked him, and he's a man of his word and a really cool guy who cares about his fans. Tom Brevoort's really active on the internet posting and stuff, so yeah, he not only kept his word, he sent me the 1 in 50 variant. I know it doesn't cost them anymore, but it is considered, they only printed 50 of these, or one of these rather, for every 50 of the regular covers, and the shops were probably selling those for $25 to $50, so probably hard to sell a Scarlet Spider book for $50, but anyhow, has a cool story behind it, and makes me think of what a cool guy Tom Brevoort is. So, people who are cool, their fans, always get points in my book, and I never forget that stuff. This is an awesome book from my childhood, Spider-Man vs. Wolverine #1. And it sucks because this is such a gorgeous copy, except it has this smudge on the R, I, and N. And if it wasn't for that smudging, this is a sweet copy. So, eventually I'll have to upgrade. This is my copy of Spider-Woman #1, and it is a damn fine copy. I mean, I'd say this is probably still near mint. This is the only major flaw. I see that small rubbing at the top corner. I mean, it's a sharp copy otherwise. And I actually got an excellent deal on these. I bought 1 through 4, and then I found 5, 6, and 7 in like a sale box and got them for like $1 a piece. So don't know how many issues there are, but I'm getting close to, I think, I gotta look it up. Got a good start anyway on Spider-Woman, getting 1 through 7. The last book I'm going to show is The Amazing Spider-Man Girl sketch variant to #1 by Ed McGuinness. And that's Mayday Parker. So, thank you all once again for taking the time to check out my Spidey books. I always appreciate you guys taking, and girls taking the time to check out my videos and comment and share your stuff with me. So I appreciate it as always. Take care of yourselves and one another, and happy comic book reading.